What I've learned living here for the past few months is that there's really only two things to do on this island. And this is one of them. Go to the beach. We spend a lot of time here just hanging out at the beach. One of the sad things about Scotland is that we also have beautiful beaches there, but it's just too cold to go to the beach in Scotland, and it's especially too cold to go swimming. The temperature of the North Sea in Scotland during the summer months is 13 degrees Celsius. If you were to go into that water with no life jacket, you'd be dead within 2 hours, either from losing consciousness or just from sheer exhaustion. Scotland, where going to the beach is a death sentence. I said there was only a couple of things to do on the island. Well, this is the other thing.
A mega pint.
This resort behind me is called the Palm Beach Bungalows. You can stay here for only $22 a night over the low season. And that's pretty good for your own private bungalow with 2 double beds and your own bathroom. One of the cool things about living on this island during the rainy season is that there's cheap deals like this everywhere. This place is pretty deserted, to be honest, but it's a pretty cool place to hang out. They've got hammocks on the beach, they've got their own pool table, and they've got a $2 happy hour that basically lasts all afternoon. And from here you can sit and stare at the Song Sa private island over there and imagine how different your life would have been if you were rich. How much better your shed could have been. Those sheds over there probably have flushable toilets, air conditioning. They probably even have security to keep the otter away. But there's no rainy season deals over there. It's still $1,300 a night if you want to stay on that island, even if it is going to rain all day. I feel like Jack from Titanic sitting here in third class, gawking at the first class passengers. If this island had to be evacuated for some reason, the people staying over there would be evacuated first. There won't be enough lifeboats for the rest of us. I mean, I'll probably end up bribing my way onto a helicopter or something, but there won't be enough space for everyone. Large parts of this island were abandoned back in 2020 and have been left to rot. A fitting metaphor for my own physical and mental decline since I've been living here. The only thing I use my brain for these days is to decide whether or not it's too early to have my first beer. My muscles have atrophied to the point where my daughter no longer sees me as her physical superior, and I have so many open sores on my body that I'm starting to look like a leper. When I first arrived here on this island, I used to look out to sea and I'd feel hopeful, optimistic. But now I kind of just feel trapped, like how a real castaway must feel. This island's starting to feel a little bit like a prison. You know, not a lot of people know this, but Robinson Crusoe was based on a Scottish guy called Alexander Selkirk. Alexander actually volunteered to be marooned on a desert island after getting into an argument with the ship's captain over whether or not the ship was still seaworthy. I guess Alexander assumed that a British ship would pass by and pick him up reasonably quickly, and that he wouldn't have to stay on the island too long. But this wasn't to be the case, and he ended up being stuck there for 4 long years. I can only imagine what it was like for Alexander, living on that island for 4 years all by himself. I've only been marooned here for about 3 months, and I'm already starting to go a little bit crazy. Days go by when all I do is sit around drinking beer and obsessively reading about pirates. I recently started making my daughter dress like a pirate, And I make her recite the pirate code every night before bed, like a prayer. And although it took some persuasion, my wife eventually agreed to wear a bandana in answer to the name Jack. My daughter is half Scottish and half Mexican. She's a whiskey margarita. She's a haggis taco. She's a mariachi, playing the bagpipes. She doesn't know it yet, but she's the only one of her kind. Because there are no other half Scottish, half Mexican human beings on this planet. And in fact, in all of recorded history, there is no evidence of a Mexican and a Scotsman ever successfully reproducing. The doctors said she was a miracle. They told us that the combination of a fiery Latina and a violent Scotsman would simply be too much, and she would almost certainly burst out of the womb like an alien the first time she got angry. And even if she survived such a traumatic birth, her weak Scottish veins would never be able to hold the hot Latina blood that she'd inherited from her mother. It would melt through her skin and pool on the ground like lava from a tiny volcano. She proved them all wrong. Our little miracle, she proved them all wrong.